I think 2026 is the year that we're going to really hit our stride. I think that you're going to hear a lot more about us. I think you're going to hear a lot more from us on different channels and in different ways. I'm looking forward to 2026. I'm looking forward to growing this thing with you and to growing myself and to helping you grow as well. It's all about that. And I got to agree with you. I got to agree with you that even when I'm feeling, because this is a roller coaster emotionally, it's a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster this year. And I got to tell you, sometimes, frankly, like it's time to get on the camera. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get on the camera because I feel like shit.
Right.
But every time, seriously, I turn off the camera after the show's on. And I'm like, wow, I am so glad that I did that. I feel personally much better. And I feel like the information that we're getting and the stories that we're getting of people's lives and people's work right here, our neighbors, is illuminating for everybody.
Welcome to Uptown Voices. From Harlem to the Heights to the northern tip of Inwood, we're here to celebrate our people and together seek solutions for the difficult issues we're all confronting as neighbors. Regardless of what hood you represent, we share the same goal, creating the best community we can, somewhere to enjoy, where we can build our lives and raise our children. We want to thank 181 Cabrini, located on the corner of 181st Street and Cabrini Boulevard, for its generous support for this podcast.
What up, everyone? It's Led Black and Octavio Blanco on the last episode that will air this year. Not the last one we'll film, but the last one for the year. This is a big deal. My brother, how you feeling, man? We pulled it off, man. How you feeling?
We did it. We did it every week. We've had at least one, sometimes two episodes. This is a big accomplishment. I'm doing great. How about you? How are you feeling? How are you feeling now? This is like the last episode of the year.
I'm feeling great. And I remember when you told me we got to tell people to subscribe, stop fucking playing, make sure you subscribe, get on it, show us that love. We've been putting in this work every week. You know what I'm saying? This is a huge commitment on both our parts. You know what I mean? So show us the love and just subscribe. You know what I mean? But I thought, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, yeah, just subscribe. And I gotta shout somebody out. Adrian Delgado. He actually contributed $50 to the show today. You know, on every
Adrian,
episode.
Thank you. Wow, thank you. That's dope. Thank you, man.
Adrian Delgado from El Barrio. He contributed $50. And I just want to say, like, it's up to you guys. I mean, we just need you to subscribe. That's all you need to do. But if you wanted to, yeah, in every episode, we have a QR code. When that pops up, just point your phone at it. And if you want to give us a donation, $1, $1,000, it doesn't matter, whatever you want to do. But I do want to shout out Adrian Delgado.
Adrian, for real. Adrian Delgado coming through. Pulling up. I like that.
So much.
Thank you, Adrian.
Yeah.
And I want to do a toast to you. I want to do you always showing me love. I want to shout you out because you took the time to make this happen week in, week out. You know what I mean? And it's gonna sound weird, but those might have been the best thing to happen to us, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you know what I'm saying? Because you've been able to really hone in, and put out this product, and it's been a great experience, great ride. Like I really do feel that I'm better after every episode, right? Because and even these people that I've known for a long time, I'm like, wow, like I've learned so much, from the very first episode with Neri and Martin, to the last one, Diana Ayala, like deputy speaker. I know more about these people. I know more about, humanity and about Uptown. It only confirms like the work that we're doing. So shout out to you, my brother, because you deserve your flowers and your kudos. You illuminate right there with the GWB behind you. So shout out to that, brother, for real. Cheers, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Salud. I'm going to cheers you with my ginormous water bottle.
I thought it was milk. I was like, oh, that's gross. I can't drink straight milk. That's just not crazy to me.
It's water. But no, man, I appreciate it. Thank you. I really do. Doge, and this year has been crazy. This year has been crazy right? For me. It's been a crazy year for the country. Doge was not fun, but you're right. Like for many months, I was able to focus in on this and try to get it going. And, we're still focusing in and we're still getting it going. But I think 2026 is the year that we're going to really hit our stride. I think that you're going to hear a lot more about us. I think you're going to hear a lot more from us on different channels and in different ways. I really hope that you and I can collaborate on a newsletter to sort of punctuate what we're doing here every week. I'm in a good place with it. And so I'm looking forward to 2026. I'm looking forward to growing this thing with you and to growing myself and to helping you grow as well. It's all
For
about
real.
that. And I got to agree with you. I got to agree with you that even when I'm feeling, because this is a roller coaster emotionally, it's a roller
Hmm.
coaster. It's been a roller coaster this year. And I got to tell you, sometimes, frankly, like it's time to get on the camera. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get on the camera because I feel like
Hmm.
shit.
Right. I
But
hear you.
every time, seriously, I turn off the camera after the show's on. And I'm like, wow, I am so glad that I did that. I feel
Yeah,
personally much better. And I
I
feel
agree.
like the information that we're getting and the stories that we're getting of people's lives and people's work right here, our neighbors, is illuminating for everybody. And the folks who communicate with us so far have been all positive, which is incredible when you think about something that exists
Hmm.
on the internet, something that exists on the internet. Maybe I'm, knocking on wood here, but
Yeah, I think you
all
might be
the
speaking.
all the
Give it some time. The
give it
haters
some
will
time.
come.
The haters will come. I mean, look, yeah, there's when we do get into politics, and I guess in that respect, we do get a little bit of that other side that's like pushing back, but that to me is like natural. I just mean like on the work that we're doing, the folks
Hmm.
that are seeing our interviews and are seeing and are hearing the stories, like they're appreciative. And so
Yeah, for
it
sure, for
makes me
sure.
really excited to keep going. And
Yeah, and I think you nudged me in the right way with the lives. I was a little off for the first time we did it, but the second time it was smooth, and I could see that it looked good. So it's
yeah,
weird because when I download the video, it doesn't look good, but it doesn't matter because we can still get the video, the actual source from YouTube, so it's no big deal.
yeah,
But it's been good. I think we should definitely start doing in the new year. Doing an early Sunday, just hitting everybody up. I think it's important. I think, especially we're uptown, right? So much stuff is happening. It's easy to miss things. So I think it's a good look. So we should start that at some point. We already kind of started
yeah,
anyway. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
but we should
yeah.
make that a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll make it a thing, and we're gonna be, making sure that everybody knows that it's happening. So like these last few lives, they just kind of I would call them pop-up lives because we didn't really advertise
Hmm.
it. We didn't really tell people they were coming. And so if you caught it, you caught it. If you didn't, you didn't. But Frank, he was thankful because he said that from his appearance here, there was a sale that was generated. So that's
That's
great,
great.
even if it's just one. So people followed through and they did what we really were hoping that they would do, and that's to support local artists. And Frank replied to me that he saw it directly. He got a sale off of that. So that's great. And so I want to get folks in the community to come on to our live show to just like talk, like we do these Uptown Voices in-depth interviews with community artists and leaders and stuff like that. And I want to keep doing that. But I also want to do like what we're doing on the lives, to have a couple of guests come on and talk about what's going on this week. What do they have coming on in the next couple of days, and just have these kind of fun conversations like that. I think that was those really work for what we're doing, and I think that the audience eats it up. And I think that, yeah, Sunday 10 o'clock in the morning, people sitting with their coffee. They're not going to watch CBS Margaret Brennan anymore because that's a
For real.
that's a failed experiment. But
That's
but
fake
yeah,
TV
I'm psyched and I'm glad. Yeah, that's state television. It's but yo, I'm so glad that you're on board with doing the lives. I know that it sounds daunting, but like our show is not terribly, it's not
Yeah.
overproduced. We just sit in front of the camera and talk to one another, and we talk to our guests, and that's pretty much what you're getting, and that's the way it should
Yeah.
be. I don't think it needs to be
Yeah.
overproduced. I don't
It's
think we
funny.
need
It's
to
funny
do
you say that.
fancy stuff.
It's funny you say that because, right, so my wife, like your wife, is a supporter. She watches it, but then she was like, you're supposed to make sure those cables, no one sees the cables underneath the couch. You got to push them. You know what I mean? So she be getting on me about that. Make sure the pillows are right. You know what I mean? So you're right. This is my crib. This is your crib. You know what I mean? We're at home doing this. So and again, that's
Yeah,
what's funny. I think you're right. Like the quality is not that what's important is the content, the conversation we're having, the kind of really, in-depth conversations that really get to the gist of things, that's not rushed, it's not hurried, and I think that's something that's important now in the world of social media where everything is, is here and it's gone.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing that we're doing is that we're piggybacking on social media to bring you the deeper story because social media, as we've seen in the last, few decades that it's been around, it can be very destructive. And mostly, I believe, it's because you don't get any context from what's happening. And so if you're not getting context, then there's a lot of messaging that can be manipulated, misconstrued, and be very, very destructive. I mean, we've seen crazy things happen globally due to social media, like revolutions,
Which are a
and
good thing, though. I
people,
mean, that's what I think is
some
the
of them,
double-edged sword.
some of them,
No,
some
but
of
what I'm
them,
saying, but wait a minute, but that's what I'm saying. That's the other side of that coin is that without social media right now, we wouldn't have anything, right? We wouldn't
no,
have
you're
anything.
right.
Everything is when you turn on that screen that's behind me, you are getting completely filtered information, right? So yes, social media, it could be problematic. I agree. It could be used in the wrong way. But without social media now, we wouldn't know anything about Gaza. We wouldn't know anything about Sudan. We wouldn't know because it's not, you won't see it on TV. So yeah, I agree to a degree.
Yeah.
But I also feel that like without it,
Yeah, no,
we'd be much worse off.
I mean, totally. I think you're right that without it, it would be much worse off. But what I
It's a
do
tool. It's a tool
fear,
like anything
though,
else.
but I do fear that the social media technology companies, those are owned by a few people also.
Correct. Correct.
Right now, I don't know. I don't have any insight as to what's going on in social media inside the companies in terms of, filtering content or in terms of favoring content or what. But it's not as if social media is like a democratic tool that is not owned by people with their own
No, but
interests. So
I'm sorry to say, I think it's that's a. I mean, and I hate to say that. I think that's a incomplete. I'll say it that way. It's an incomplete look at it. Yes, Zuckerberg owns this, and that, and definitely at the very top, it is owned, right? But at least for right now, right? Social
yeah,
media, and I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you a concrete example, right? So you're right, it's owned by these people, but even when it's owned by these people, the people get around it. That's where it's democratic. And what I mean by that, and I'll give you again a concrete example. Ari Weiss, the hand chosen, picked
yeah,
she's not fit for that role. She decided, right? She was picked again. And so funny when they put stories about Barry Weiss. Like I said, I read a lot of news, right? They refer to her as the free press. And again, I know I said this before, but they make it seem like they don't say the free press, the Substack blog, right? They don't say that part, which they should.
right. The
They should
blog.
underline it
They should
because
call
when
it
you
a
say just the free press, it sounds really impressive. Oh wow, no, it's a blog. It's a fucking Substack. First thing, right? So this woman was handpicked, not qualified at all by Ellison to run CBS News, right? Run CBS News. One of the first things she does, she helps to platform Erica Kirk further, just like the New York Times did, right? So there's a concerted effort, right? There's a thing being done together. And then know what she did? And you know that she did this, right? I sent you the article, right? She pulled a piece about how people were treated at CCOT. She pulled it like right before it was about to air, right? And with like the person that put it together was like, yo, we went through the lawyers, we went through everything. This is not editorial, this was political. So here's Barry Weiss on what she was told to do, right? She pulled it. But what did the internet do? The internet found it wherever and posted it. So now you're going to see it, and more people are going to see it now than they would have seen it before. You see what I'm saying? That's the internet. That's the democracy of the internet and social media. Yes, it's controlled at the top, but what's beauty is that once you give people these tools, whichever, we can just what we got to learn is to deplatform them off of those tools and make them ours, but they are ours. That's the beauty of it. So she could do what she wants. She's the handpicked successor. Here you go. Give us propaganda. And what did we do as a collective? We said, nah, fuck that. Here you go. And now everyone's seeing it. So I think that's the power of social media. And again, it's weird you talking about social media when you love AI so much. I hate to say it, but whatever.
yeah, no, I know. No, I don't love AI. It just helps me because I sometimes it helps me to do things faster. AI is great. AI gets us in. It got me in trouble this week. I won't say how, but it was I had to do a little scrambling to find non AI work. But yeah, I don't love AI. I'm actually very concerned about AI. I'm very concerned about the water situation. The people in Syracuse apparently are about to, if they don't conserve their water usage, they're about to like not have water. I just read about that in one of my newsletters this morning. It's crazy. It's crazy. The ecological disaster that AI could present is real.
Yeah.
So I don't love AI,
And I
but I
feel
don't
like
know.
I feel like I know like but I think that's the whole thing, right? It's that it does make things easier. It does give you like a little bit almost superpowers in certain ways, but then you got to think what it gives to these corporations, right? Like, and I also think a lot of this is being pushed down our throat, right? Like
Mhm.
it's making it accessible to you, or you or I, right? So it could so it's just it's a flood. And I don't think it's the thing behind it. I don't think it'll be good for us as Americans, as humans, and not because AI. Because I don't think this thing is going to get intelligent and try to destroy us. I think the motherfuckers that control it are going to try to destroy us, and that's what they're trying to do, right? Because I think it's not a productive activity. Right, so they're spending like we have like an AI
Yeah.
bubble in the economy because people just spending money, but it doesn't produce anything. It doesn't make a bridge, right? It doesn't make new trains. It doesn't cruise new roads. It doesn't do none of those things. And again,
No.
it's just I think it's a dead end for humanity at the end of the day, and not because it's gonna be like Sunny or not Sunny, the other in iRobot, right? That's nonsense. It's the people the billionaires that control the technology, right? They're the problem, and they're the one that are actively trying to destroy us using AI as
Yeah. I mean, look, I agree with you, but I do think that like for most people, AI is just like something that's fun that they can use to make goofy videos. Unfortunately, those goofy videos that are not doing anything except for, either like fooling people into thinking that people are saying stuff that they're not saying, or making us laugh at a strange looking photo, that's also using a lot of resources. So before you like make your silly little video, think about that. But I do think for people like creators, people like us, who are discussing ideas and trying to doing it at a very low budget, it can be helpful. But I am concerned about all the
and
ecological dangers, and frankly,
but
like I'm not convinced
it's
that
but
it's not going to become
yeah.
smart and take over.
No, that's insane. That's movie shit. Like that's taken away from the billionaires. Those are the real evil motherfuckers. It's not the AI. That's crazy. What I'm saying is, listen, man, and it's not just ecological. Yes, it's horrible, but it's not just ecological. We live now in a world of AI slop. Every time you open your phone, you can't even
Yeah.
you don't need, and that's the point, right? It's to weaken the power of social media, right? It's to weaken the person recording something in real life, right? I do feel it's so well. I don't know if that thing in Gaza is real because I don't know what's real anymore. That's where it's
Yeah.
really dangerous. Yes, the ecologies, but it's the way the powers that be. And again, I
No,
think that's
both
nonsense
of those
Western
things.
bullshit. That
Both of
somehow
those.
it's not the rich white people. It's not them. It's the AI. No, it's the rich billionaires that most of them happen to be white. Those are the problem. It has always been the problem. Right. And when we try to make it seem like it's the AI that's going to kill us, no, it's the motherfuckers behind the AI. It's those people. It's those people. You know what I mean? And
You know,
I have a hot take. I have a hot take. I have a hot take. This is right here. Capitalism is the first AI, right?
huh.
And what I mean by that is that the capitalism, in a sense, did become alive, right? And it became something that infected the hearts of people. It's basically greed incarnate, right? And basically that AI is and this AI the same thing, right? So if that's what you want to look, but it's still people at the end of the day, people that make this money, people that make this capital, they are the problem. And when and those are again, I'm starting to realize how much bullshit we're fed, how much American myths we've all been brought up in, right? And then we told them so dear to our heart, America's exceptional. America's good. America can't be bad. Biden is good. Like it's all this bullshit that we continue to believe in. And even I hate to say that, even the notion that AI is that somehow is going to come alive and hurt us. But the real people, the billionaires that are actually hurting us, right? That are taking away our rights, taking away, like people like Peter Thiel want to transcend consciousness, and they got the billions to do it. He has JD Vance second in command,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? They're already. You could tell by JD Vance already. He's going full on racist, right? But no, he's full on racist now. Now he's a racist. So he went from progressive white person that loved the poor whites, right, now to calling him, Trump Hitler, right, American Hitler. So now Trump is great. So now his vice president. So now saying white people shouldn't have to apologize for being white. You know what I mean? So that's the problem. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Trump.
I mean, the truth of the matter is that when you can't tell what's right, what's real and what's not real, that's power, if you're able to control that. And the billionaires who are controlling these companies are certainly in power because they've got their lackeys in the White House and in government who are making the world into their vision of what they want the world to look like. It's definitely a challenge, and it's a challenge to know like what's right and what's wrong. Sometimes what I wanted to ask you though is, do you think that there's a moment when they've overreached in technology and the people are going to say like, do I really need all this technology, or can I disconnect and do something else? I was listening to a rapper, and I forget his name, who was talking about how Spotify um pays musicians. And it's like, I think that they in New York, they finally passed a law where a musician can make a whopping 1 cent per stream. Before then, it was like 0.01 cents per stream. So it was like some crazy number where you had to have more than 1 million streams. You'd have to have many, many, many millions of streams just to make like a decent amount of money. And he was thinking like, well, what if I go straight to the people, like, and just sell them directly my album, or sell them directly my single, like we used to do. We used to have record stores. You go into the record store and go and listen to the music. People are gonna disconnect, are gonna find it like too intrusive to their lives, where they're giving everything up. I mean, if they haven't so far, they probably won't, but I wonder if that's the case. But when you're talking about money, and when you're talking about how people are being swindled, like, why aren't people then saying, well, you know what, let me just take it to the street, or like go back to the old school of just charging you $5 for a CD, or charging you $5 for a tape, and I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, like, is that something that you think is going to happen? Because we don't have to stream stuff. We don't have to do it that way. There's other ways of listening to music, and we've done that a different way for many, many, many years before the streaming services came around. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a longer thing about, I think, people waking up and kind of taking power back. I mean, that's a bigger issue. I think once we take power in other things, we'll take power back in that as well. Artists should be paid for their music. Music brings so much joy to so much people. So, but it's always, it's weird, right? Because it's like back in the days, we thought musicians were getting jerked, but now they're really getting jerked, right? Like they're really getting nothing for their work, and they really have to tour or sell merch or do a bunch of things to do it. But listen, man, I think at the end of the day, people will find a way to better their lives, and we have to wrestle control. So I don't think it's the tools themselves, right? I don't think it's necessarily social media or AI. I'm just saying it's the people behind it, the people that have the power and the muscle that keep us going, like chasing our own tail. Because I think these tools could also help us. They could help the people. I think we do live in a time, and that's why I think the rich are trying to even constrict us more. Is that we do live in a time where we could really, we know that we could end poverty, right? Like if you just tax these motherfuckers, just put taxes on them, right? Like I saw something where like if you just tax them,
Just if you just force them to pay the taxes that they're
And
not paying.
right, that's what I'm saying. If you just tax them, they would still be ridiculously wealthy. But we can end poverty. We can end a lot of things on this planet where we can make this a better planet, right, for every single person
Yeah,
on it, right? But we choose not to
yeah.
because we want to make sure they have yachts and they're traveling to outer space. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. We need a change in values. I think we're gonna have no choice but to change the values, right? Because the current value system is leading us off of a cliff. And what I try to tell you and I try to tell other people is I think we need to stop romanticizing our past. We need to stop thinking like
Yeah.
that. Like we are going off a cliff, whether we know. No, hold on. When we are already off the cliff, we just haven't looked down. And that's where we're at. You know what I'm saying? And this not looking down is the problem because when we don't look down, we think everything is okay. We think Biden is good. We think Kamala is good. They're not Trump. It's bigger. There's a rot at the core of the society because we never dealt with the fucking Confederacy, right? We keep letting these horrible
Yeah.
white men get away with shit, right? Instead of making this a multiracial democracy for all of us. Like I don't think there's a bigger case for white privilege than Trump, right? Trump should not be there. He does not deserve, he's not fit, right? But again,
And
he's
Barry
also a
Weiss
perfect,
also falls into that.
of course. But I'm saying, yeah, but when I say Trump is the perfect, he's the id of America. He is America crystallized. Right. So we need to choose new narratives, and we have these narratives. Like I think that the beauty of this country is its ugliness. Right. There's been two genocides in this. You had the genocides of the native and the importation of African people. Right. So there's two genocides, but we still elected someone named Barack Hussein Obama, who I have my many issues with. But this country still did that. Right. So I do think that we can be a force for good or we succumb. But we have to realize we have gone off the cliff, right? And not looking down is no longer an option. Oh, Kamala's going to save us in another 4 years. Listen, there's not another 4 years. We may not be. America's being eclipsed right before our eyes, and we need to recognize that.
And ignoring that past isn't going to do it. And you're right. I mean, the fact of the matter that we haven't dealt with the Confederacy and we romanticize it as like something that it really wasn't. It was slavery. It was human. It was just degradation, human degradation, and we romanticize it as our past, and we haven't dealt with it either with reparations or even with like eliminating the vestiges of it, like the Confederate flag. It's happened, it was happening, but now it's coming back, rearing in full force. So yes, I think you're right. I think that the idea, the issue, the problem of white mediocrity and allowing that to happen while everybody else has to work 10 times harder to get two steps forward is just like one of the clearest signs of the rot that you're describing. That brown kids, Asian kids, anybody who's not like a white Christian cannot ever fail, cannot ever make a mistake, whereas white men and white women too, they can fail and make mistakes and have bad judgment, and they just continually get second chances, third chances, fourth chances. So yeah, that's really one of the things that hopefully we're going to wake up to, but it doesn't seem like we're going in that direction at this point in time. But let's talk about let's shift.
Let's do the shift.
Let's shift gears, because I mean we've talked a lot about politics and national politics, but I think we could talk a little bit about the local politics that we're seeing, because here in New York City, I think I know that it's only like a little sliver, but come January 1st, Zoran Mamdani is going to be sworn in, and there's a lot of hopes on him, and a lot of people are really, it's a win for us. And meantime,
I
I
agree.
just read today, you'll be happy to hear this, that well, I don't know if you're happy to hear this, but I think Chuck Schumer, there was a poll that was released today that showed Chuck Schumer has the lowest ratings ever, that he's really like struggling in the polls.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's I can't imagine that he'll be able to, has lowest approval rating of all top US political leaders, according to a poll. The New York
Yeah, fuck
Democrat
Chuck.
notched just a 28% job approval rating, the lowest of 13 politicians named in the Gallup poll released Tuesday. So yeah, he's struggling, and you know I
Can
he's
I say something?
yeah, go for
He's
it.
the Democratic. He's the Democratic Ted Cruz. That's who he is. You know, there's this execrable fucking asshole. You know that again. We need. He's just. I'm surprised it's even that low. Like I mean, he has been so bad. You know, he's writing. I'm writing letters. Like writing letters. Who writes letters? Like, motherfucker's like 103, right? He's just annoying. And again, you know, the tide has turned with people being pro-Israel first, Israel first. Like that tide is turning, right? It's starting to shift, right?
Yeah,
Just this week.
yeah.
I don't know if you saw the Dave Chappelle, the new special on Netflix. You know, he ends it
I didn't
in a
watch it
very.
yet.
I'm not gonna spoil it, but he ends it in a very provocative way, right? And Megyn Kelly, you know, was going at Ben Shapiro, and I hate Megyn Kelly before anyone said anything, but Megyn Kelly was saying Ben Shapiro's to Israel first, right? I think that notion that Israel or bust, I think that's starting to change, and again, he's a product of that, right? And those products
Yeah.
of that are gonna start to fade.
Yeah, and what's what's really a problem is that not just that he's a product of that, but just how actively he's been, and him and the rest of the guard down there actively fighting against the progressive wing of the party,
Yeah,
which is the
he never endorsed
part
Zoran. Never to this day endorsed Zoran. Not once. He never endorsed Zoran, for the
not
record.
not endorsed, he never endorsed, and apparently actively fighting against Zoran. I think he would most probably preferred that Cuomo won the mayoralty, and to me that's just like unacceptable. So there's certainly like it is without a doubt that the old guard is out of touch, and the question then becomes, who is gonna take over, and that process is starting to happen. I think Chuck Schumer
Yeah.
is just old also, and I don't know if he's going to be able to have it in him to stay on very much longer, although these senators, it's amazing how they stick around.
Yeah, but I want to say, right, that, you know, it's not just that he's old, right? Is he refers to himself, his job is to keep the left pro-Israel, and he refers to him as the guardian of Israel, right? Not the guardian of the United States, not the guardian of New York, right? Like, that's the problem. That's why he's unpopular. That's why Kamala lost. That's why Biden lost. Right? That thing that you could put another country before your own, that those days are gone. Those days are gone. That's for, and like again, I think most people are starting to feel this way. Like, we cannot continue down this path. Things are pretty bad here, right? And then if we're sending our money to Israel so they can have free healthcare, so they can have free education, right? So they get stipends to raise their children per child, right? And then we're calling people of color here welfare queens, right? When they get a little bit of money that they actually put in the coffers, right? So that Schumer needs to go. All these people need to go if we're gonna have a true democracy, right? And again, it's just we need to move forward. Like, we really need to get. I really
Yeah.
don't want to see Hillary Clinton anymore. I don't want to hear talking anymore. You know, Bill Clinton was in the files. Let arrest that motherfucker too. Take Hillary too if you need to. We need to clean house. And again, it's deep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then on top of that, just to put a cap on the Israel discussion, is that then we see the way that Israel has been killing Palestinians in a horrific way, just leveling the Gaza Strip, killing so many innocent people. And that if Israel thinks that that's going to protect it from people who hate Israel, I hate to tell them, but it's not. That's only going to create more and more people who hate Israel. And that's just going to propel that whole issue further down the road. And it's never going to be resolved. What's happened in Gaza, the genocide that Israel is conducting, has set that region back, I mean, hundreds of years, because you're talking about the children that are of the people who have been killed, who are never going to forget that. And I don't know how that's ever going to be resolved. at this point. And so,
I agree.
I
Yeah,
think
but
that
I'm
to
sorry. I
be able
brought you back. I
to
brought you back to the whole thing. We need to move on. I moved you. I'm my fault. I
no,
brought you back.
well,
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Led, I think now it's time to take a short pause so that we can pay some of the bills. We are lucky to have a great sponsor, 181 Cabrini. It's our neighborhood bistro. Both Led and I are just steps away from 181 Cabrini, and we love it. 181 Cabrini is located right there on that corner of 181 and Cabrini, just steps away.
181 and Cabrini.
Just steps away from the bridge. So, yeah, I love it. Led, you and I were there the other night.
Yeah, and we also met there for the first time. You and I, the first time we met, we had like lunch there, and it's my local bar now. Like since I live, you and I both live like right around. It's my local bar. I spend a lot of time there. James Lee, the owner, is just an incredible restaurateur. Right, I think he's a great guy. He's super funny, but like the food is on point. So please hit up 181 Cabrini. It is really one of my favorite spots. 181 Cabrini, pull up. That's my spot. Show them love and tip.
And don't forget, we also need financial contributions from listeners like you to produce, improve, and expand our content. To contribute, please scan the QR code on the screen.
I want to talk about I want to shout out, my Nightlife family, right? Because even though the festival was late in September, we had like a little holiday get together right here, 181 Cabrini, one of our favorite spots, our sponsor, and it was really cool. And what was funny about it, right? Because it was Calixto, my brother Calixto Chinchilla, right, the founder, and he invited us kind of last minute, and it was just really like the stakeholders and like the people, some people couldn't make it, but it was like the year in year out folks. So David Bell, Liz, Maria, Yaniel, and I think that was it. And it was and myself, of course, right? But it was a great night, and I think I felt so good that night that I got really kind of drunk. You know what I mean? I don't usually get drunk. I got really drunk. I had like 3 sangrias. I had like 5 beers, and then James Lee, our boy, he came at the end of the night and gave us all shots. And I was just, it was horrible. I had to go to work next day. And it's funny, I even woke my wife up in the middle of the night. Like I pushed her in the bed, like she was like laying down. I was like, yo, move. And she's like, what are you doing? Get on my side of the bed. And I woke her up. And then I went over her instead of going around the bed. I was a mess. And, first thing she's like, you were too drunk yesterday. But it was because of the love I have for Calixto and the rest of the team. And, it kind of felt good to like, I knew I was going to get, I don't usually, like I said, I have a glass of wine, but I don't get ripped. But that day I felt so good, just like commemorating what we were able to do this year and year in, year out. So shout out to my Nightlife fam, you know what I mean? Because that's one of the best things I do every year, and it's super exciting. And this year we got more stores. Yeah.
And it was great that we could highlight that work on the program. It added a lot to what we're doing. I think it was very, very interesting. The films that were selected were really interesting.
For real.
And I'm really glad that we were able to have them on the program. And I hope that we also can extend that love. We extended it a little bit to the Project Feel and what they're doing. And I know that we have some local Latino film folks in the neighborhood, and I hope that we can bring them on to talk about what they're doing as well, because it's not about scarcity, it's about abundance. I want to make sure that we can spread the love as much as we can to everybody who's putting in the hard work. But yeah, man, I think that sounds like you had a good time. I love it. I love it when people when you can let your guard down,
Yeah, and I knew I was gonna get I knew I was gonna get drunk that day. I was like, yo, I feel this is my people right here. We pulled off something, amazing this year once again. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna throw it back, and I drank way too much. But shout out to them, shout out to James. And then I also gotta say, because we gotta stay local, because if you let me, I'll talk about other shit all day because I hate Trump so much. So there's an open call right now for women, the next Women in the Heights by the fabulous, incomparable Andrea Arroyo and NOMAA. Right, so it's, the theme is called Shade, whatever that means to you. So this is for women artists that live in Harlem, Washington Heights, and Inwood. And so yeah, go to NOMAA website. So it's NOMAA.nyc.org, and that's also NOMAA NYC is also the IG. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I think it's another. I think the 18th edition, if I'm mistaken, of Women in the Heights. So it's an important exhibit. It's every year it gets better. Andrea Arroyo is a Uptown arts, fixture, and her husband Fego, who's been on the show. We need to get Andrea as well. So make sure
But yeah,
it's the
she needs to come
17th
on.
anniversary. It's the 17th anniversary. I just saw that. So it's an important show. You have until January 5th to that's when the call ends. So make sure you go to NOMAA and if you're a women artist doing up that, you should submit, whatever stage of your career. If you're a beginner or even, a more a seasoned artist, that's what makes NOMA so great, that it brings all this together. It's Uptown, it's us. So shout out to Neria, shout out to Martin, shout out to Michelle. I mean, like they've been so helpful. And again, I have to, disclaimer, I also do the social media for Noma. So I do get a check, but again, this is part of, like, I think I don't do it for a check, right? I do it because I love Uptown and I love the arts and I love Noma, right? So before I worked for Noma, I was kind of already working for Noma because I would always help amplify what they were doing. And then in the past, I would always do the social media during the Uptown Art Show, which takes place every June. But for the last few years, I've been, on it, the regular social media director all the time. So it's been an amazing, journey, and I love them. And so make sure you go to NOMA NYC.org to submit your call or
Yeah,
your art for Women in the Heights Shade.
shade, and they got your photo on the website.
Oh, really? That's
I
dope. I
peeped
didn't know
that this
that.
week. I saw they got your photo on the website.
Oh, that's really
I
cool,
wanted
man. That's really cool.
Uh, I also wanted to shout out all the local community groups and the local
Sure.
politicians and the local businesses. They have been really going above and beyond with all the toy giveaways and on the turkey
Yeah.
giveaways. And it's been like every day there's like another toy giveaway. And, there's a huge need in the community for this. And I think so many people have stepped up, and there was, like, I swear to God, it was like every single day there was a different one. And hopefully all the kiddos out there, got something, because it's that time of the year, and it's so sad when if you don't get something. And by these community groups and these businesses, I know United Pass and Tuto Tavares did something really interesting. We had him on the
Hmm.
show to sort of hype it up, but it was just so many, so many. So that's why also I think it's so important for us to make sure that those folks behind the scenes, that you don't know even their names. You don't even know the names of half the community groups in Washington Heights and in Harlem and in Inwood and in the South Bronx that are doing the work every day, not just on Christmas, not just with these toy drives and food distributions. That's why I want to make sure that they all get their flowers, and that we highlight the ones that are really making a difference to help people's lives, because sometimes people need help. That's what the community is all
100%.
about.
A
So
hundred,
so shout out to
100%, man.
everybody who's been doing that.
Yes, and when you say a
Yo,
shout out
I
to
also want to,
Hold on, I wanted to say a shout out to the Curandaro
yeah,
Collective and Dr. Angel Rosario, who did a toy drive with Uptown Gaming, and I think it was very successful. Shout out to them, man. You're right. Like, these are the people, that are making it happen in a time of great need, right? Because all of us are feeling the
yeah,
pinch, during this holiday shopping for food, right? Like, tomorrow, today's the 23rd, tomorrow will be the 20th. I'm gonna go to Stu Leonard's and buy my usual stuff, but every time it's just getting more expensive. So, for those people that are really struggling, this is not good. You know what I'm saying? So that's what community is, and that's what I love about community Uptown, that we really look out for one another. So that kudos to all those people making it happen.
yeah, man. And I'm so happy that I've doubled down on my commitment to be involved in Uptown. I've been attending, and I will continue to be attending our community board meetings and our city council meetings, whether I'm there in person or catching up on the YouTube, because just so everybody knows, all these things are posted on the YouTube. So you can just, if you don't have the bandwidth to go, you can even join via Zoom. Like it's there are ways for people to participate, and I personally am going to do my part to participate. I'm actually starting with a small project that I think we're going to be talking about here on the show more often. But we've talked a little bit about it. Called there's a park near our house called Dolphin Park. It's a park that's owned by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. And it used to be operated by a woman in the neighborhood who had formed a nonprofit. But unfortunately, she died. And when she died, there was nobody there to pick up the baton. And so ever since she passed away, which I think now is like at least I've been in this apartment for at least 5 years. So probably maybe even 5 years before that, this park, which is a beautiful little pocket park, has been closed and inaccessible to the children and the families in the community. And it might seem like low stakes or a low bar, in terms of all the important issues that people are facing, whether it's housing or food insecurity or drugs and mental health issues. It all goes towards that, right? If there is a park in the neighborhood that is there and it's not being utilized, it does nothing more than depress the neighborhood. So it's my I was able to, with the help of a lot of people in the community, I actually attended the parks committee hearing, and I put it on the record that this is something that we, the community, want to have addressed. And the city, the community board 12, it's not their responsibility because it's a port authority property, but the community board is on the record that it's going to be supportive of the movement to reopen the park, which means they're going to be making a proclamation or a declaration to reopen the park, presenting it to our other elected officials, especially the ones who are state officials like Robert Jackson and others who might be able to move the needle because it's port authority, right? So it's not a city agency and the city really has no authority, but the state officials might be able to move the needle somehow and help out to get that hopefully reopened. So, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but wouldn't it be great if by the springtime, once this horrible winter is over, we had a little pocket park where families could play and children could hang out and have good neighborhood noises of children playing. I love that.
I agree. I agree.
Um, so
No, so I agree. I think we need to take back our public spaces, especially our green spaces. You think that especially on the other side of Broadway on the east side when you go all the way east, like off of Amsterdam. There's a lot of beautiful parks there. But if we don't inhabit them, if we don't come into them, if we don't use them for what they're used for, they become overrun with drug addicts, right? So I do think that making these places really accessible, really inviting, really incentivizing people coming to our beautiful parks. It makes, again, because drug addicts they have a sickness, right? So they don't know what they're doing. They're caught up in that habit. So they're there. But if they see people there, if they see the place busy, if they see people enjoying themselves, a lot of times they're going to stay away. So I think we need to bring back, our parks. We have great parks in this community. Growing up in Washington Heights, I don't know what it is. I think it's just part of who I am as a human being. I always like woods. Even though I grew up in the city, right? I always like woods, and I would go into the woods behind George Washington and Amsterdam, going to those woods there. I would go into the woods at Inwood Park, Fort Tryon Park. I just like that. So, I think that especially that Highbridge Park is gorgeous. We have a bunch of beautiful parks like the Sunken Playground, on right off of Edgecombe. We have all these beautiful parks. I think, hopefully I could work with my good friend John De La Sorte, who works in park. And we've been talking about bringing some more activity there because I think it's important. And the more we take back, the better, right? Like we need to. We are at just up here, right? We have a fight in our hands, with what's happening, federally, but also locally. We are being overrun with heroin and drug addicts. And I think the way you fight that is with community, we're coming out and supporting our parks, supporting each other. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. And also like unity. So it's not just here, it's in El Barrio too. They're facing some of the same issues in and East Harlem, but it's all over Uptown. And unfortunately, the problem is, well, part of the problem is that most of these drug use and most of these places are being just placed in our communities. Now I'm not saying that they don't belong in our communities. I think that there's a need for them, but they don't belong just in our communities. And so I want to see a movement uptown of people who are pushing the rest of the city to take some of the burden of these drug treatment centers. It shouldn't just be uptown. It's not like addiction is only happening uptown. It happens all over this city, from uptown to downtown to all over the place. So I really hope that our elected officials, our community boards from uptown can get together and push it so that other people can also open up these treatment centers in their own
Yeah,
communities, because
I
it's
would like to know.
needed.
Yeah. Well, I want to. I have to stop a little bit right there. I do agree they are needed elsewhere, but I don't think safe injection sites are the way. I don't think that's the way. I don't think so. I don't think so. So yeah, do the other things, all the other things. Safe injection sites. I just think it needs more. It needs more. It needs to look. You need to look at it more. I think you're incentivizing, people doing intravenous drugs. I'm sorry. Like, I feel that although things are great, yes, but I don't think safe injection sites, you want to have that everywhere. I just don't feel that's a good thing. I'm sorry. And I don't
I
think there's
think
any
that's
proof
where
that
we
it
kind of,
actually works. Yeah, I don't think there's any proof that what they say
well,
is their big thing is, oh, we prevented 500 ODs. But what does that mean? How many of those ODs are repeated? And again, it's like, because these people, again, they're doing heroin with fentanyl in it. And you bring it, but how they don't say, hey, we stop people from doing heroin. They never say that. They never say that. They say we
yeah,
prevented
yeah,
ODs,
yeah,
right? They didn't say, hey,
yeah.
this Pablo is clean now. They don't say that. They never say that. They don't have those stats. So what I'm saying is, again,
Why does that have to be Pablo? It's probably Jim.
it's Pablo, it's Jim, it's a lot of people, but again, it's something that's spreading in our community because it's now Pablo. It's a lot of young dudes that are from our community now that sell and get addicted, and they hustle to heroin addicts, and now they're caught. I seen it around my block a lot, all the time. The young dude, like, he's a regular dude. I'm just selling to these fiends, right? I'm just making my money. 6 months, a year in, now he's a fiend himself. And again, I think that safe injection sites, yes, you need definitely harm reduction, but I think we need to like be really nuanced with it. Like, harm reduction is one thing, but safe injection is another. And again, it was passed in the dead of night without community involvement, and it seems like an experiment.
Yeah, I think that's where you and I kind of disagree. I do think that safe injection sites are important, and it's one of the tools in the toolbox. So we
And what
disagree
toolbox?
on
What
that
what
point.
toolbox?
The
I mean,
toolbox of addiction, and
but why
trying
is
to
that?
save
But why is that
people
the?
and
Why
trying
is
to
that the
help
most?
people. But hold
But
up, but
why
hold
is
up.
but why are addicts the most important thing? I don't understand why
No,
are
no,
addicts the most important thing? I don't get that. Like, I remember they did this
it's not.
Barcelona
It's
training
not. What you're talking about, and where I agree with you, is that there's only two in the whole world, or in the whole country, sorry,
in the whole country.
in the whole country. And I think you're right that there's definitely a question as to whether or not they work. I think in Portugal they've had these, and they've run into problems, but it's an open question still. What the problem, I think, mostly is that they're only being cited in certain neighborhoods and they're not spread widely. And then I don't know if that's
What?
ever going to happen. So
No, but
maybe just
but
because of that, it's going to be
no, but what I'm saying to you is, again, find help. Get these people help, right? Help them out. Say, hey, we're going to find you a job. We're going to find you treatment. We're going to do these things. But when you allow them to keep doing heroin on site, you're not really helping them, because they become clients. They're your customers. You want it. Like, this is the business model, right? So I'm saying safe injection is my issue. Like, I'm good with everything else, needle exchange, get people help. I'm cool with all that. But safe injection has not been proven yet. So you don't do something before you prove it works. You do small, again, this has been a disaster in Washington Heights. It's been a disaster. Again, I get harm reduction, but then, and if in a world like ours, where you don't have resources for everyone, when you put the addict before the community, we are going to lose. I'm sorry. I remember one of the reasons years ago, Robert Jackson did a meeting at the church on 181st, right? And it was about heroin in the neighborhood. So I went. I want to hear this, but it was really about Narcan and how do you save the addicts. But I'm like, how do you save the community? What about me with my children, seeing these addicts destroy? They come from other places, destroying and defiling my community. And that's the problem. We're not that whole solution. It doesn't put us first. It puts the addicts first. And I think it can't be addict centric. It got to community centric. And I think, yes, you need harm reduction, more harm reduction, but safe injection hasn't been proven. You can't just roll that out. Like, it's been a disaster here. So putting it everywhere doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, I think that that's the issue, is like, we are when we do these tests, when we do these experiments, which is what it is. This experiment was flawed. It's flawed. It's not a good experiment because it's only in a couple of places, and those
It's a
places,
perfect
of course, are
experiment,
going
though.
to.
It's a perfect, but it's a perfect experiment because what they want to do is get rid of us. So it's what I'm saying, like, and I keep saying this, and I think is a failure of negative imagination. Right? We will never we just think these things happen that there's not people behind them. Right? It just happens. But again, de Blasio put it at the dead of night without any community involvement. Right. And it happened because he never think people will get together. Hey, let's make people more, more dependent on drugs so we could, get rid of the people that live here for like my mother that's been here in the neighborhood 60 years. Right. Let's get rid of those people because she only pays, she pays less than $1,000 a month in rent. They're the problem. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Is like, I don't think safe injection site it's ever going to be something smart. And again, if it's never going to make sense. Harm reduction, yes. Let's try to get these people help. Let's get them off of drugs. Let's police these corridors better. But safe injection to me is not the way. It's never been proven. And again, that goes back to we believe everything. Yeah, this is the way. This is what they tell us. But you see what this neighborhood has become in the last few years since since it's been really bad, really bad. Like every day in my corner of my block, I see tons of garbage, because the drug addict goes and just does this, right? And then, I see people defecating on, you know what I mean? Like, it's not working. It's not working, dog. Sorry, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, look, I also think that it was a big problem before On Point was around, or maybe I guess I don't know there used to be sort of like an on the DL safe injection site by the Habichuela con Dulce lady. There was like a building there where people could go in and it was a harm reduction site, but everybody
it was
knew
on 181st. It was on 181st.
Was it?
Yeah, it was on 181st. Yeah. But
Yeah,
again, but if you look at it,
so
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So what I'm saying is, I remember when they closed that down, the whole neighborhood looked like zombie town, much worse than it is even now, because they didn't have anywhere to go. And so they just spilled out onto the street. And it was crazy for a while. And then On Point came, and I don't know, in my view, like, it created this corridor, which is unfortunately where we live. But in many respects, it also, gave some people a place to go where they don't need to be on the street. But it doesn't.
But we're talking about the few. We're talking about the few over the many. Have you seen 181st one train station at night?
Yes.
It's ghoulish.
Insane.
It's ghoulish. And I feel bad for those people. I feel really bad for the people, right? But again, the problem, you can't fix the problem of heroin by letting them have more heroin, right? Right? That makes no fucking sense. Right? That just makes no sense.
I guess, but I just don't know.
And again, I'm just saying this is.
I just don't think we can control whether they can have heroin or not.
But the thing is, this is sometimes, and again, I used to consider myself a liberal. I'm not, right? But this is where liberalism fucks us up, right? Because we want to be so permissive and so good. Well, they need drugs. Let's give them the drugs. This shit makes no sense. It's destroying this community, right? It's never made sense. Hey, let's cure the heroin problem by letting them have access to heroin. Whoa! But they prevented 500 ODs in a month. Okay, how much people did you save? How many people did you get off heroin? And again, you can't divorce it from the fact that it's done uptown. You can't divorce it from that.
Yeah,
you cannot divorce it. De Blasio. Who told De Blasio to do that? Who told De Blasio to do that? Why did he do it midnight? Even the deputy speaker was like, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, we cannot look at our neighborhood right now, and say, we want more of this. You know what we need? More safe injection sites. Let's put more, because we're liberals and we feel the heroin. But we feel the addicts. What about me and my children? What about my neighborhood? We're losing it.
How many are on 34th Street in Hell's Kitchen? How many are in Chelsea? How many are in Soho? Zero. None. Nothing. Nada. So all those people come here. I mean, you don't think that there's like a huge
they shut it down.
addict population?
But you're making my point. It's a magnet. It say, hey, y'all don't want to die? Come uptown. Come uptown. Because what we want to do.
Why don't they open one in 34th Street. Wouldn't that be like, oh, don't come uptown, stay where you are and
It's
do it safely
called-
down here?
It's old as time. It's called environmental racism. Put it where the black and brown people are at. Let's do
Yes,
that.
I agree with that. I know that that's what it is, but I'm saying that that's what we have to fight against and like be like, hey, you can't. And that's what the Diana said was, well, we're not going to have them put any more up here because we're up to here with them. You know, we're up to here with them. So I want them to make it fair and put these things in more neighborhoods that are not uptown.
That's not fixing the problem. Is again, we say, oh, that didn't work uptown. Let's do it everywhere else. I'm saying get people help. Get them off of drugs. And that should be your main thing. Giving them more drugs and allowing them to do drugs does not make sense. It makes cat sense. It makes no sense. And again, this is where the Republicans eat our lunch every time, because these are pure liberal ideas that we think are good, but there's an ulterior motive. Harm reduction and safe injection sites turn out to be Trojan horses for gentrification. And that's all that they are. And we can make it nice, but again, it can't be that the attic is the most important thing uptown. It just can't be.
Yeah, no,
You know,
on that point,
that's it. That's where we're at with it.
Yeah, on that point, I'm in full agreement.
And then let me tell you another thing, right? Like you know, this is gonna be like, you know, my library 179th was my childhood library. One of the books that I've taken out most in my life, because I can't buy the book, is a book called The Opium Wars, right? And as a kid, as a poor kid in Washington Heights, like I've said before, you know, my library card was my passport to the world, right? So I really got into, you know, Asia and the ninjas and samurais. I would read all about it. And one of the things that fascinated about history was the Opium Wars, right? And the Opium Wars really tell the story of how, you know, the Queen of England was the first big drug dealer. The East India Company was the world's first cartel, headed by narco cartel, headed by a country, right? And what they did is basically they grew opium in India, right? And then they forced it down the throats of the Chinese, right? And when the Chinese tried to say, hey, we don't want your opium, is destroying our country, they said, nah, you're gonna take this in the name of free trade. And all of the West, but the British were the primary beneficiaries, but the West in general, America, like those New England blue blood families, the Forbes family, the Roosevelts, they all made their money on heroin, right? And what they did is they created a public taste for heroin. Heroin is unlike any drug ever, 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 ever. It has medicinal properties, right? Because you could use it as morphine. It's been used for medicine forever. But once you get a public taste, once people start doing that drug, it changes everything. So besides the book, The Opium Wars, there's an author. His name is Amitav Ghosh, one of my favorite writers. He wrote a trilogy called the Irish trilogy, right? And it was 3 books, you know, told years apart. Right? They came out years apart. I recently reread them, you know, and I reread them back to back. And then he also dropped a book that was nonfiction book that kind of explained the trilogy. So it kind of explained what he did to learn about it, the scholarship, you know, his journey to learn about it. And, you know, it was a great book and it was amazing. And Amitav Ghosh is an Indian writer, and he even said he didn't realize, you know, how China and India were so interlinked, and he didn't really realize, you know, the extent of the Opium Wars, right? And one of the things, it's interesting, right? Because the way he described is like heroin is alive. You know, that sounds crazy. It's different. It takes over its host in a different way, right? And what he's saying is not supply and demand. It's demand and supply, meaning that the more heroin you have, the more addicts you will have, right? And if you don't check it, it's going to destroy everything because it's corrosive. Right? It's corrosive in a way that crack and all these things aren't. Crack is a quick cut. Heroin is different. I mean, as a kid, grew up in Washington Heights, I saw a lot of drugs. And I remember when a heroin addict was going to get his heroin, he starts farting, he starts losing his bowels because he needs it. He's sick. He's dope sick. It's a different thing. And what the West did is unleash heroin on the world, and it has been unleashed. And it needs a multi-pronged effort. It needs everybody to come together and fight it, not encourage it. You have seen Kensington and Philly. Have you seen Philly and Kensington? It looks horrible, but there's places here that starting to look like that. So what I'm saying is like we need to. I think we always have the argument of people that don't really care about our community. We stay in those boundaries. Safe injection, it's good. Harm reduction. No, we don't want safe injections. No, stop heroin, because if we don't stop it, we will end up like we will all be Kensington, right? This neighborhood, I've seen it with my own eyes since that safe injection site's been there. And before, when it was just not safe injection, I've seen the deterioration. And it wasn't this bad on 4 Ys back in the days. It just wasn't, even during the crack era. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, again, we always limit ourselves between, on every argument, we could only go here. This is where our argument goes. It's either good or no, safe injection is bad. I hate to say it, and I know I'm so vehement. I respect your opinion, but I don't think it's the safe injection thing is going to work, and I don't think the answer is making more of it.
You know, you make a great point, though. You make a really, really good point about the demand and supply and the way that heroin overtakes the host. And it's an incredible, from what I hear, it's like I've heard it's like touching God, you know, that's what they say when you use that drug. And the more you use it, then the more you need it, and the more you need to get to that level, and you're always chasing that level of touching God. So I can see how it's not just like, okay, well, let's have a talk about drugs and whether drugs should be legal or not. I think that's one of the, I think that your point about being nuanced about it is extremely wise, because it's a different thing. And especially now with fentanyl, it's like times 10, right? So it's like touching God times 10.
And if I may, right, like that's what Amitav Ghosh was saying. He was saying, you know, we tend to look at history as people are the agents of change. But heroin has been an agent of change. Heroin, it's a different thing, right? It's alive. And because we fucked with it, and because the West decided to make a public taste for it, the West is now paying for it, right? You know what I mean? And it was interesting, like, so for example, right? So I'll give you an example. So you had the mighty Chinese civilization, right? That goes back millennia. Yeah. And it was brought down low. In 1917, there was more opium addicts in China than there is in the world now, right? That's how bad it was, right? And then again, I'm not saying I'm pro Mao. I'm not saying that, but Mao comes to power, right? And Mao even had like the Empress, like in a cage. That movie, I forgot the name of that movie from the 80s about China. I think The Last Emperor or whatever.
The Last Emperor.
Yeah,
I think
they show her in the middle, like she should show her like this drug addict in the middle, so people will come see, right? And the way Mao did it, and again, I'm not saying this is the way to do it. I'm just saying the way Mao did it. Mao gave you excellent rehab one time. Second time, they were executed, right? I'm not saying that's what should be done. I'm saying that's what happened. And that's the reason China is China now, not the sick man of Asia, because that's what it was. It was being picked apart by everybody else. An ancient civilization that spans millennia, right? That gave the world pasta, you know, silk, you know, so much beauty, so much art, language, culture, so many things was brought down low by heroin.
Money.
But look how crazy this is, right? This shows you how things are, right? So you had China brought down low by heroin, right? Those Chinese people went around the world. And one of the places they came to was California, right? And they brought their opium with them, right? And what happens? They use those Chinese people to build the railroads, right? And once the railroads are built, they kick them out. And some of those Chinese people were sent to Mexico, to Sinaloa, right? And what's interesting, they brought with them the black tar heroin that's now coming back into America. You see what I'm saying? Once you let loose heroin, it's unpredictable. And these kind of half-ass attempts, if injection, it's only going to make the problem worse. And we see it right now outside of these windows. Our community is getting worse. We have to wake up. Safe injection site. Who wants safe injection? And why is it only here? That's what I'm saying. We have to look at what's really happening. Not be this like, oh, pie in the sky shit, because that doesn't work. We're losing. And again, when you said about God, right? I remember one time, because I'm always watching, I'm always driving, I'm always looking. I remember walking behind this dude, young guy, not even 30. He's high as balls, just walking down the street like he's high as balls, right? And another dude who's older, who's also an addict, right? But he dabs between selling and buying and doing. He goes, tú estás eléctrico. He's like, what are you doing? You seem electric. He goes, I'm in the house of God, right? That's how euphoric of a feeling it is, right? And as this Trump regime tends to take away more and more, we're gonna have more issues. The poverty is gonna get worse. So it's like if we continue enabling these safe injection sites, we will lose. Heroin is not the game to play. It is not crack. It is not cocaine. It is not meth. Heroin is different. It's a different beast. And like you said, when you supercharge that beast for fentanyl, right? And again, let's not forget that fentanyl, right? And the current heroin addiction is by the Sackler family, right? That they make billions off of creating OxyContin, right? And all these things. Like, this is where we at. Like, our capitalism is predatory and is attacking us, and it is always use drugs against people. Always. The Queen of England started that trend, and it continues to this day. Now, another thing is, right, you think about this. You had a war in Afghanistan, and then you had the heroin epidemic. Wow, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay, so you go and you invade and occupy the country where a lot of good chunk of the heroin comes from. That's interesting. Now you have a heroin epidemic. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we really need to. Drugs are not just drugs. It's just not recreation. It's not just addiction. It is a tool of control.
Wow. Led, bro, you just drop knowledge. I gotta tell you.
I'm sorry, I get crazy with this shit, man.
No, man. Look, this is why you're here. This is why I'm so happy that you're here. I think the issue is historic, complex. It goes way beyond our windows. I agree with you that the addict centric solutions that ignore the community are a huge problem, and possibly, like you say, a Trojan horse for gentrification. And let's be clear what that means. That means creating an environment that is so untenable in the community that the community leaves, so that eventually in 10 whatever many years that can be taken over by others who are looking for those apartments and for that housing. So it's a hugely complex issue. We're not going to solve it tonight, but it's definitely something that we are grappling with in front of our doors every day. I see it every day. I'm not happy about it, and it's true. It's got to be treated with nuance, and the fact that it's heroin is a different animal than crack or even cocaine or marijuana or whatever you want to call it. It's a different animal, and it devastates lives, and it devastates families. And even the city council member, the deputy speaker, Ayala, she lost her brother to that disease. And so, we can't overlook just like the disastrous consequences that they have. And it's also part of what you were talking about, not about we're over the cliff and we're not looking down. We have to look down, and it's not fun. It's a scary thing to do. But you made some really, really good points there. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. And again, I want to get positive again. Let's get positive.
Yeah, let's get positive.
You gave me my
Yeah,
heroin
wait.
back.
I know. Let's bring it back to music, right? Because last episode you teased us.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
teased us.
I did.
I want to know, what is your number one album of the year? Well, I mean, you just brought it up, and then you're like, oh no, but I can't talk about it now.
So I'm not ready to disclose yet. Or should I just say it? All right, let's go. Let's do it.
Are you? It's up to you. I don't know. To me, it sounded like you were ready.
I'm ready. You know what I mean? Like, so it's my album of the year for 2025. Exile by Chronics is just, to me, like a perfect album. I've been a Chronics fan for a long time. A few years ago.
What is Chronics?
Chronics is a reggae artist from Jamaica, Spanish Town, Jamaica. But he's like a throwback. I want to say it's roots reggae, but it's neo roots reggae, right?
Okay.
He's.
I think I like this.
Yeah, he's a dope artist, because he reminds me like early 90s, late 80s kind of reggae dance hall music. He has a gorgeous voice, and he just one of these artists that knows how to bring it. His last album was Chronology, and I played that nonstop. Like, I have a thing that when I like something, I listen to it over and over.
Yeah.
I drive my family crazy, like, because I have to listen to it. No, it's really sick, right? Like, when with Chronology came out, or other albums like it, like AM by the Arctic Monkeys, you know, albums like that, I have to listen to it over and over again. And then when I stop listening to it, everything else don't sound right to me. You know what I mean? So it's like a really like a fixation that I have. And Chronology, his last album, was that for me. And it's funny because before Chronology dropped, Chronix dropped like a mixtape before the Chronology album. And the mixtape was just so amazing. And let me go back a little, right? Because, you know, like I said, my dad was an audiophile. So he was this poor working factory worker, but somehow, you know, he was always saving his little pennies to buy the best stereo equipment, right? And then I would get his hand-me-down. So for most of my youth, you know, I had like a big boombox on my bed. And when I was wanting to listen to hip hop wasn't on the radio. So when I would put WNWK, which is 105.9, it was Gil Bailey. And Gil Bailey is like an old school reggae DJ who was putting, you know, reggae every night. You know what I'm saying? So I got into reggae dance hall in the late 80s. You know what I mean? I didn't know Jamaican people per se, but I just love the music and I love what they were doing with it. So
it's great music. I love it too. I love reggae. I love dancehall. And like I love roots.
Yeah, me too. I love roots music. And my brother had bought the Bob Marley album like in the early 80s, but I didn't really pay attention to it. And, you know, sometimes when we would go to, I don't know if there was a thing called Anthony Wayne. It's like a public park like in upstate. And I would go with my family and we would be playing a merengue and then the Jamaicans would be playing their music. And I always kind of liked the music. But then like when I started listening every night, I really got into the music. And Chronic to me makes me feel like a little kid again. Like in a sense, listening to that music is a beautiful album. I mean, like if there was 2 songs that at first I was like, and now I love them too. You know, it's just full of positive, good music. It's a great way for me to get the year started, right? Like I really thank God for Chronix and for that album Exile. Exile is the first song on it, and it's really dope. And it's funny because he had a song last year, and I think it was called Never Give Up. And I heard it, and it was the first song off this album. It was like an early single before I knew this album was coming out. And I loved it. I love the sound on it. And the sound, like I said, is super distinctive. It's super old but new. You know what I'm saying? Like classic and timeless and really like, you know, important.
How did you get put onto it? How did you get put onto Chronix? Like where?
So like again, I just heard the mixtape somewhere, you know what I mean? And I was like, what's this? It's dope. And then I started digging, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, this is dope. And then Chronology came out. And like I said, Chronology is an interesting album because it's him, but it's also very like, it's reaching different, it goes every different place. Some of it's slightly kind of like rockish pop a little bit, you know, had a lot of different things on it. And then Exile comes along, and Exile is just, it's a whole vibe from beginning to end. Like the second song is called A Market, and it just got like that super cat like kind of flow, kind of style, you know what I mean? And then he has so much other songs that are amazing. There's a song on it called Resilient, right? And what makes this Resilient amazing is that basically is him on a guitar, right? Just singing, right? And then it starts off very simple, talking about, you know, that him and his significant other, they're resilient and God's love, you know, because like a lot of reggae roots music is very spiritual. It's very much about togetherness and love and God. And I love all that stuff. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual in that sense. You know, so I love the album. And then, but what makes it, as a song progresses, it starts going to it. It's just all the percussion is people clapping or foot stomping, and the chorus that he has, the people singing, just eat up the record. I mean, there's so many good songs. There's a song called Scheming, right? And it's talking about people that scheme, right? And it's funny because now I'm 15 years in with this Uptown Collective, right? And I've gone through my series of schemers and haters, right? And that's who they are. That's what they do. They can't do any better, right? But it's funny. He has lines in there. He goes, they will laugh at your vision, then tell you not to dream. You know what I'm saying? I've had that in my life, right?
Yeah,
where they're laughing, I believe this. I'm like, that's bullshit. That's crazy. And they're trying to tell you, don't dream. Don't think bigger than that. So there's so many records that just are outstanding music.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's Exile. You have to check that album out. It's 17 cuts. It's I think 17 cuts is a lot of songs. You know, sometimes a lot of songs don't work. A la Drake. Drake be putting like 30 songs and like 8 are good. But for me, from one song to the next, like I said, there was 2 of the soft songs that like he had Hurricane and Genesis. At first, those were songs I would skip. And now I'm like, I don't even skip those. So I listen to the album through and through and back and back and back. It's a straight perpetual rotation. You know what I mean? I love Exile by Chronix. It is my album of the year. it would have been the Clips, but Chronics eclipsed the Clips. You know what I mean? So it's the album. It's my album of the year. I know my daughter Imani was, she pushed that Clips album really hard, and then she forced me to listen to it. And it's a great album, and it would have been my album of the year, but it got to go to Chronics and Exile. Shout out to Chronics. I can't wait for the tour, and the vinyl comes out in January. So I can't wait to bring the vinyl home and throw it on the turntables, for real. So Exile by Chronics, album of the year, Left Black. Yes, sir.
Wow. All right. All right. Well, I don't know if I have an album of the year. I'll have to think about it because I listen to a lot of music. I've been listening to music on Google Music streaming, and it just is like one song after another, and it's like all over the place. I don't really listen. I haven't really like sat down and like listened to albums. I should do that. I used to love the record store. I used to go to the record store and I would get onto all the new, and I would listen to albums. That's how I would listen to music. And I miss that. I miss listening to albums, and I miss the record store. Do you miss the record store?
For sure. I definitely miss the record store. You know what's interesting? That
Rock
and Soul used to be my childhood record store back on 34th, 36th, I think it was. But they're still open. They just moved like really close by. But yeah, I miss the record store. I miss, that's why I'm like, with the vinyls, to me, it's a throwback. My dad passed 2 years ago. Gonna be 3 years in this coming July. But like records to me, and listening to music and putting it loud and saying, I'm gonna listen to my music. That reminds me of my dad. So I'm really like, again, and having an album to look at, I think is really good. So I can't wait to get that vinyl. You know what I mean? For real.
So that's my resolution. That is my resolution for 2026.
Right.
There's a lot of big things that we're gonna do, but my resolution is I'm gonna listen to albums, and I'm gonna select my favorite album of the year too, so that next year when we're right here doing this, I'll be able to tell you what my favorite album. I've been all over the place with my listening, but I haven't really listened to albums. But next year, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go to the record store. I'm going to go to the record store, and I'm going to make that because I miss that. I miss that. That was like a meditation for me. And they were always playing something that I never heard before. And I'd be like, what is this? And they would tell me, I would find it, I'd buy it, I'd bring it home, and I'd listen to it until the needle broke.
Yeah.
Look, what's your resolution? What's
Yeah, before I tell you my resolution, I want to shout out Clippers and Cappies. Clippers and Cappies where Cappies were like old school record stores uptown. I bought Biz Markie, Make the Music with Your Mouth Biz. And I also bought that in Clippers and then at Cappies. Yeah, I bought the first KRS Boogie Down Productions album, you know what I mean? Criminal Minded. I bought that Uptown. So you're right, like it's something about copping that and all those albums with my childhood, and record store is super important, man. But my New Year's resolution,
back the record store.
For real, my New Year's resolution for 2026 is, to continue with this podcast, to keep growing it, right? I think this has been very promising. And, I also want to continue to amplify, continue to do what I'm doing in terms of, just being steadfast with community, I'm steadfast in getting the word out, steadfast in helping to shine a light on people that I rock with. You know what I mean? I also want to, I'm working on something with two of my sisters, not my actual sisters, but my sisters. And we're going to talk
sisters
more about
from
that.
Another Mister?
Yeah, exactly. We got a little project. We were doing smoke signals before. So we're gonna do more of that soon coming year. I want to do more in Uptown in terms of doing like events, live events. And I want to put out music this coming year. I want to put out some of my music. I'm gonna get back into making music. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then I also want to do a moth. I want to do another moth.
All right. I love it. Those are great aspirations. Those are great resolutions.
For sure.
And we didn't get to your New Year's rituals. I gotta start to wind down here because I smell dinner and I'm really hungry.
Yeah, time to go. Yeah, we'll do it another time. I'll tell you after I did it. All right, brother. Tell everyone
me
hello.
After you did it. Yes, sir. You too.
Red love
your
is
family.
Uptown way.
Red love and happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody. For real. Let's bring it in.
26.
Community is the answer.
Do it.
For real.
It's the answer.
Yes,
all
sir.
Right.
Thanks for joining us in this episode of Uptown Voices, brought to you by 181 Cabrini, your neighborhood bistro just steps away from the North Walk of the George Washington Bridge. Use the code Uptown Voices Season 1 for your discount. And to stay up to date on the latest in Uptown, you can follow Uptown Collective on Instagram, Facebook, and X. If you're watching Uptown Voices on YouTube, don't forget to smash the subscribe button and to give us a like. And don't forget, we also need financial contributions from listeners like you to produce, improve, and expand our content. To contribute, please scan the QR code on the screen. Until next time, this has been Uptown Voices.